Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So this is part 2 of the 12 steps to spiritual awakening, based on just my understanding, based on the 12 steps, the 12 AA steps, right? And if you haven't watched the previous video or know what I'm talking about, I'm going to link it somewhere, either in the description or up here somewhere, so you can make sure to take a look at that. I'm going through the 12 steps. I'm doing 3 steps at a time. And this is the second video doing steps 3, 4, and 5. And these ones, these are tough. They get tougher as they go, right? Okay, let me adjust my chair. Okay, so step number 3. Sorry. Let's go over the other ones, just hearing them, okay? I admit I am powerless and that my life has become unmanageable. I have come to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. I have made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. Okay, so now we're going to step number 4. I have made a searching and fearless moral inventory of myself. That's harder than you think, because you have to look at yourself and be honest. And most of us don't really want to do that. Or we find it very difficult to face ourselves because we have shame, we have guilt, we think we're horrible. We walk around thinking we're horrible, that all we do is hurt people, that all we do is do bad things, and we're not worth love, we're not, right? So it's hard to look at yourself. I've made a searching and fearless moral inventory of myself. You have to look at your shit. You gotta look at it. Searching, go deep, go back in time till as far as you can remember and start from there. I tend to start, I've noticed that I start in the toughest thing that I could think of that I felt affected me, right? In a deep way. I started there. Because everything else just gets easier after that. But that's how I am, right? For some people it might be easier to start easy. Even if you have to write shit down, it might be helpful to write things down. It might be helpful. I encourage you to have a journal, a notebook, piece of papers, whatever, and write down each step, and sort of after you've thought about it. Some people, it's easier for them to process things when they see it outside of themselves, right? If you're just in your head, sometimes it can make it difficult for you. But if you put it in writing and you look at it out here, it makes it easier for you. I recommend doing that. I recommend sitting down, making the time for yourself. If you're bothering to do any of this, that means that you want to improve your life, that you want to be a better person, that you want to have positive things coming your way, right? If you're stuck on bad things happening to you all the time, there's a reason for that. There's stuff you have to process. So if you're going to bother doing it, do it right. Make time for yourself. Because if you don't make time for yourself, nobody's going to make time for you. It's a mirror. The universe is a mirror. It's a mirror, right? It shows you what you're putting out. I'm looking in the mirror, I can see myself, but can I? That gets complicated. I know that. Searching and fearless moral inventory of myself. Moral inventory. What have I done that's good? What have I done that's not so good? Who did I do it to? When did I do it? How long has it been? Did I do anything to fix it? What would I do to fix it? Can I do anything to fix it? Should I do something to fix it? when am I going to fix it? You go through all of those steps in that one step. Write down, and I mean, write it all down. Write it all down. Fearless, right? Because if you really think about it, when we are beings of light. We are beings made of love. We come from a source of absolute unconditional love. The purest love that there is. We are made of that. So anything that you do that goes against that, it's because the darkness took over. You didn't know any better. You didn't know any better when you did bad things, when you said that nasty thing, when you did this horrible thing, you know, when you treated that person this way, you did that, whatever. Whatever your case is, whatever your circumstance is. When you do the things that you do, it's because you are not awakened yet. You are not connected with that pure center that you have, that we all have, and are made of. So don't be so hard on yourself. Have no fear. Forge ahead. Just do it. You have to. You should. It helps you to release, right? Look at one event at a time. Don't look at everything. Don't overwhelm yourself. This step is not going to happen in a day. This can take months or years. Just that one step. Making a fearless and searching moral inventory. You got to write it down. Keep track of it. And and you can check it off. You can check each one off as you really process it. What did I do? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I say that? What was I feeling? What did someone do to me that caused me to lash out in that way to that other person? You have to start asking yourself questions. You're like a detective in your own life. You're the top-notch FBI agent who's trying to figure out the toughest case there is. Right? Ask the questions that an external person would ask to try and figure out something. What would a detective ask to figure out this mystery that's in front of him? Those are the questions you ask. And step outside of yourself, because the past person is a person that you no longer are. For better or for worse, you no longer are that person. So look at them as if they were look at yourself, your past self, as if it was another person. It makes it easier. It's easier for us to judge others than it is to judge ourselves. Hello. It's true, and you know it. So ask the questions that you would ask someone else. If someone was coming to you and telling you, oh my God, I cheated on my husband. Why did you do that? Then they would answer you, right? They might not know, but these are the questions you would ask. Why did you do it? What does he not do at home that made you want to do that? What was his role in you going out and cheating? Because everybody plays a role in what happens to them. Start asking the deep questions, right? Maybe don't get so deep. I mean, everybody has their own process. Everybody does it in their own way, right? But you have to make a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself. It's important to do that because that sets the foundation, right? You've admitted that your life has become unmanageable, that you're powerless, that you're unsatisfied with your life, right? You've come to believe that there's a power bigger than you that can restore it for you, that can restore your balance. And now you've made a decision to just let it go. Let go and trust that that being can take care of it for you. Now you gotta take responsibility. Now you gotta set the tone of this journey that you're going to establish here, okay? You gotta make that moral inventory, because we conveniently forget the things that we do, by the way. Some things are right there, etched in your brain, in your soul, in your heart. We gotta sandblast that shit so that the etching is no longer there, so that that pain, that guilt, that shame, the fears, the traumas are not there from now on. Right? Make the inventory. And do it, you know what, just write it down. Don't process it yet, but write it down. And as you're writing it down, as you're remembering, shit, go through your life. Start from childhood if you have to. And that doesn't mean just things that you've done, things that have been done to you. Put them in there. Put them in there. That's important too. It's not just what I've done to others. What have others done to me? Because what? Why? Because that's a reflection of who I was in that moment. If someone hurt me, what was I doing? Because I don't deserve to be hurt. So I was doing something that brought that to me. It gets deep, people. It gets deep in this bitch. But it's worth it. The level of relief that you will feel when you start to process your shit, nothing compares to that. Nothing compares to the relief, the literal relief of pain and weight on your shoulders. You start to feel lighter. You're like, you start to see your light. You start to see the light that you come from within yourself and within others. You have to do this step. Okay, let's move on. Step number 5. I admit to God, the universe, divine source, whatever you want to call it. I admit to God, to myself, and to another human being the exact nature of my wrongs. That's a tough one. I'm going to say that about all of them. They are all very difficult. But the fact that you're even considering doing this, that you even want to know what this is about, means that you are stronger. You are strong. Stronger than you know. You are ready to take this on. And you will never be the same. I admit to God, to myself, and to another human being the exact nature of my wrongs. Admitting it to God is probably the easiest part there. In that 3-step process, that's probably the easier part, admitting it to God, because you just open yourself up. You're in your own alone space. Take yourself out of it, because you can get in your own way of even admitting it to God. Okay? You're in your own space and you open up and you're like, I mean, the universe knows what you did. But you gotta tell the universe, I did this and this and this. You know, I'm gonna tell you, when I'm processing, I talk to myself. Like I'm talking to you, I do it to myself. I ask the questions out loud. I look like a maniac, probably, if you're looking at me, but I'm in my own sacred space. Create that sacred space for yourself so you can have an out loud conversation with yourself. Who cares? I mean, you know you're not crazy. That's all that matters, right? I'm recording myself and telling you about it. What does that make me? And I'm not crazy. So say it out loud, because maybe hearing an external voice helps. Just say, God, I did this, this, and this back then. I was thinking this, this, and this the other day. I mean, you know that the universe knows, but tell it anyway. Because why? Why would that work? What does that do? Admitting it to God. To me, admitting it to God and admitting it to yourself is the same thing. Actually, let's get deep here. Admitting it to God, admitting it to yourself, and admitting it to another human being is admitting it. That's all admitting it to the same being, because we are all God. So when you admit it to yourself, you're admitting it to God. When you're admitting it to God and to yourself, you're admitting it to God, right? If you're admitting it to another person, you're admitting it to the God within them. That essence, that energy that is within them, that is within you, that belongs to God, that comes from the same source. I know it's hard for some people to understand that. And sometimes you don't have to understand it all right away. Just trust it. You have to have trust. If at this point you're not quite sure what about the God thing, keep working on steps 1 through 3. Work on step number 2. That means you still need to work on that step a little bit. Like I said, these don't just happen in an hour. These steps take a long time, maybe even lifetimes. You don't believe in lifetimes? That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to. Make it fit within whatever you believe. Only take, from these types of videos, only take the things that resonate with what your belief system is at the moment. Eventually in your process, you will begin to shift, you will begin to understand things that to you were a mystery before, that they were unknowns before. Your eyes open up, your mind opens up to new possibilities, to new dimensions of understanding. I admit to God, I admit to myself, and I admit to another human being the exact nature of my wrongs. So let's go to that third one, another human being. Because to me, admitting it to God and to myself is almost the same thing. It's very closely related because it's still within a privacy, right? It's still within your private space, within your sacred space. Even if that's a closet, the shower, a bedroom, a beautiful altar, if you have that luxury of doing that, right? Whatever your sacred space is, that means alone time. That means silence. Even if you have to put headphones on with no music, by the way. You know, put earplugs, whatever you gotta do to create a silent space within yourself so you can process these things. Because if you're distracted by life, you're not gonna be able to do this. Okay? Now, admitting it to another human being, that can be tough. And that can mean, excuse me, you know, when I do these videos, I get an itchy nose. I was researching that the other day. I'll do another video about that. Because this is a form of channeling, you know? So, anyway, I'll talk about that in another video. Admitting it to another human being can be a therapist, a priest, or religious leader, if you're comfortable with that, or the person that you wronged. that goes into future steps. The making amends, that's in the next video, I believe. But you know, I think that probably lends itself more to a therapist, a counselor of some type, a person that can keep confidentiality, a person that is trustworthy, but not necessarily a person that's someone you know. It might be, this is how I interpret it. A professional who has to abide by confidentiality agreements, right? Because admitting your wrongs could get pretty deep. You don't want to trust just anybody with your information. Honestly, I don't care how close you are to a loved one, a family member, a friend. I would not trust, that's a strong word. I wouldn't, but I'm going to say it because it's coming out that way. I wouldn't trust my innermost work with someone that's within my personal circle, simply because they are people you interact with on a regular basis, and you don't know what their process is, what their journey is. So if it's a professional person who is not part of your life on the daily basis, you can speak and move and go to your life. You won't interact with that person. It can get tricky if it's someone that you're close to. I would not trust that. Your innermost stuff, the stuff that you're working on in these steps, is very, very deep, very important to your well-being and to your awakening and to your developing peace and balance within your life. I wouldn't just trust anyone with that information. So sometimes you cannot, if you can't afford a therapist on the regular, that's so annoying, on a regular basis, you can't afford it. Or you feel weird about going to see a therapist, whatever that is, that part of that step might get delayed. Don't let it delay you, however, into moving on. You could sort of move back and forth in these steps, I believe. I don't know about the real AA steps. We're not doing the real AA steps. We're doing a version of it, okay? In my opinion, I think it's okay if you move on without admitting to another person your wrongs. That's just me, right? If I can't afford a therapist, I don't see religious leaders, religious people. I don't participate in religious activities, so I wouldn't feel comfortable going to a priest, for example, for a confessional. There's a lot of issues with that. I won't get into it. So that would mean a therapist. I can't afford that. Does that mean I can't move on with my steps? Of course not. I've admitted it to myself. I've admitted it to God. To me, that's enough for now. For now. Therapy is a good idea for most people. It's helpful to talk. All they do is listen. Most of these therapists don't offer suggestions. They probably shouldn't, right? They're just there to listen. It's helpful to vent and talk. Maybe that's why I do these videos. You are my therapist, but I'm not going to tell you my deep dark secrets. No. Okay. Step number 6. I am entirely ready to have God, universe, divine source, remove all these defects of character. I'm ready, entirely ready, to have God remove all these defects of character. You may think, that's easy. Yeah, I don't want these defects of character. It's not as easy as you think. That there's a reason why this step is in this particular order, right? Because you've admitted to God and to yourself the nature of your wrongs. That when you acknowledge the nature of your wrongs, you know the defects of your character. That acknowledgement is very difficult because you're calling yourself out, right? You're admitting that you have anger. You're admitting that you have, I don't know, whatever it is that you have. That you have a weakness for substances, a weakness for gambling, a weakness, that you're weak. I'm weak. I'm angry. I'm judgmental. Where does that stem from, right? So it's deeper. It's a deeper delving into, but I'm ready for God to remove it. And what is it? What does that mean? If those defects of character are removed from your system, they're removed. Then who are you? It's more difficult than you think. If you remove my anger, my judgment, all of these things that I am, that I've thought of myself as being all of this time, then who am I? Right? Who am I if I am not this flawed character? Then who am I? I'm not ready for God to remove them, right? You could go through that. You could be like, I acknowledge that I'm angry, that I'm a jerk, that I'm this because I've done this and this and this. I can admit it, but hold on. Can I slowly work on improving? Do I have to let go of all of it? I am entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. That means you're ready to be a person you might not even recognize. Because without anger, without judgment, without bigotry, without all of these flaws that you have, you are another person that you won't recognize. And that can be scary. How do I know how to be this new person? That's the beauty and the mystery of life, right? That's growing, that's changing, that's adapting, that's becoming who you really are. We go around life, we're born pure. And life, interactions with beings who are not pure anymore, starts to wither away at that purity. And then we become this person, right? This bubble, this thing of, I'm not saying everybody goes through this, but I would venture to say the majority of people go through this. That's why our world is the way it is. That's why we have so much darkness and hatred in the world, and sadness, so much depression. Where do you think that comes from? Because we've lost our purity. When we were born, we came into this world that we wanted to come to so badly. We begged to come into form, to understand the experience of being in this form, to see if we can maintain our purity in this form so that we don't have to go through this test anymore. We get corrupted. Problems start to affect us. We start to lose our purity. We start to lose who we really are. And we go through life, and some people go right back out of it. You came in pure and you go out corrupt and flawed. And then now you really gotta come back again so you can try and reclaim your purity. And that's what we're all doing here. We're trying to reclaim our purity, our perfection, right? So when God removes all of these defects, and which he can easily do, it can easily do, if you really mean it, it's like, all right. That's overwhelming, because now you have a different life. Now you have different responsibilities. Now you become a teacher to others, and you have to lead others into this journey because you see it. You see the clarity. You see the beauty, and now you want everyone to see it. So now your purpose becomes different than what it was before. Maybe before it was about money. Maybe before it was about sex, whatever, having fun. Let's enjoy life. I'm enjoying my life. You're still going to enjoy it after. You're going to enjoy it in more ways that you don't even imagine. Because you can still do all of those other things, but from a perspective of, I'm enjoying this moment. It doesn't define who I am in the essence of who I am. It doesn't affect my future. I hope that made sense. So let's recap. I have made a searching and fearless moral inventory of myself. I admit to God, to myself, and to another human being the exact nature of my wrongs. I am entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Okay, ponder on that. Go back, watch the other video, watch this one. Do as much as you can. Get yourself a notebook. Start writing these down. I always write down in the description the steps. And in the next video, which is part 3, I will go over steps 7, 8, and 9. And those are doozies as well. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. My information is below in the description box. Alright? Thank you very much for watching. Till next time, my soul embraces yours. Namaste. Bye.